It was a rainy night when Dara first saw him, unconscious, bloodied, and barely alive, as paramedics rushed him into the emergency unit. She had just ended a double shift, exhausted and soaked from running through the storm to return a forgotten file. She hadn't planned to be there, but fate had other ideas. The doctors were frantic. The man had lost too much blood, and the hospital's blood bank was low. He had no ID, no relatives, no medical history, just the silent desperation of someone fighting to stay alive. Dara didn't hesitate. She stepped forward quietly and told them she was a match. They looked at her in disbelief. Most people paused, thought twice, asked questions, but she simply rolled up her sleeve. She didn't even know his name. She didn't know that saving him would change her life in ways she couldn't imagine, or that her act of kindness would reopen wounds she thought had healed. But something about him lingered in her mind, like a melody she couldn't forget. 3 weeks passed, no word, no thank you, no closure. And that was fine by Dara. She had enough chaos in her own life. Between juggling night shifts, managing her mother's mounting medical bills, and dodging her ex's unwanted messages, she barely had time to breathe. Then one evening, just before a night shift, Dara walked into a small cafe near the hospital to grab coffee and stopped dead in her tracks. He was there, alive, well, laughing, sitting by the window with headphones on, sketching something in a tattered notebook. He had a small scar under his eye now, but there was no mistaking the face. It was him, the man whose life she saved. Dara froze. Should she go to him, say something? But just as she stepped forward, he looked up, and their eyes locked. For a brief moment, his smile faltered. Then, something strange happened. His hands started shaking. His expression shifted from relaxed to confused, then haunted. He stared at her as if he had seen a ghost. Slowly, he stood up, eyes still on her, and whispered, "Do I know you?" Dara's throat tightened. "No," she replied quickly, heart racing. "I don't think so." She turned and rushed out of the cafe, coffee forgotten, but behind her, he kept watching, as if trying to remember something he couldn't afford to forget. That night at work, Dara's phone buzzed. Unknown number, one message. "Why do I feel like I've been searching for you all my life?" Dara stared at the message for nearly a minute. "Why do I feel like I've been searching for you all my life?" She didn't reply. She couldn't. Her ears were trembling. How did he get her number? Had he recognized her after all? A nurse called her name. She slipped her phone into her scrubs and forced herself to move on. But the message haunted her the entire shift. By morning, she was exhausted and curious. When her shift ended, she returned to the cafe, unsure what she was even hoping to find. But he was there again, same seat, same sketchbook, as if waiting. He noticed her immediately this time and stood up slowly, eyes wide. "You came back," she approached cautiously. "You messaged me." "I know," he said, voice soft. "I didn't mean to scare you. I don't remember much from that night. But when I saw you, something clicked, like I've seen you before. But not just your face. You felt familiar." Dara forced a smile. "Maybe I remind you of someone." He hesitated. "Or maybe you are someone." She looked down at the sketchbook, her breast caught. He had drawn her. Perfectly, hair tied back, same earrings, same tired but kind eyes. She looked up, unsettled. "What's your name?" He hesitated. "Ladi. At least, that's what the hospital staff told me. I had no ID, nothing in my pockets. I have been remembering things in flashes, sounds, smells. But you, seeing you, it wasn't just a flash, it was a feeling." Dara's heart pounded. She wanted to walk away, pretend this was nothing more than coincidence, but something deep in her gut whispered, "This isn't ordinary." She nodded slowly. "I'm Dara." Ladi gave a half smile. "Will you let me buy you coffee?" She almost said no, but instead she sat, and that was the beginning. For weeks, Dara and Ladi met at the cafe. Their bond deepened. Effortlessly, Ladi slowly regained fragments of his memory, but not the night of the accident, not how he ended up bleeding in the street, and not why Dara's presence stirred something so fierce in him. Then came the twist. One night, after a date, Ladi walked Dara home. They paused in front of her apartment gate. She smiled. He leaned in. Their lips almost touched. Bang! A gunshot. They both ducked instinctively. A car screeched in the distance. Someone had fired a shot. But at who? Dara's phone buzzed instantly. Unknown number. One line. You should have let him die. Dara stood frozen, staring at the message. You should have let him die. Ladi grabbed the phone from her trembling hand. His jaw tightened. Who sent this? I don't know, she whispered. I don't know. He looked around. Quiet street, distant footsteps, no clear threat. He pulled her inside a compound and locked the gate behind them. Inside Dara's apartment, she tried to calm her breathing, but Ladi was pacing like a man on the edge of remembering something dangerous. I need to go to the police, she said. Ladi stopped. No. What do you mean no? I can't be seen. I told you. I still don't remember who I was before the hospital. What if there is a reason someone wants me dead? Dara stared at him. You think you were involved in something? He sank into a couch, hands in his ear. I don't know, but the man I used to be, he wasn't clean. I feel it. She sat beside him slowly. I don't care who you were. You are not that man anymore. Ladi looked at her, truly looked at her. Dara, if something happens to you because of me, she reached for his hand. I chose to give you my blood. I will do it again. But even as she said it, something inside her twisted. The message, the bullet, the fear. The next day, Ladi didn't show up at the cafe. No calls, no tests. For 2 days, silence. Then, on the third day, a brown envelope appeared at the front desk of the hospital. No name, no return address, just Dara's name in bold. She opened it after a sheet and nearly dropped it in shock. Inside were photographs, Ladi in different cities with different names. One image showed him exchanging money with a man in military uniform. Another showed him standing in front of a warehouse with a woman, her face circled in red ink. And the last photo, it was Dara smiling at her mother's birthday party last year, before she ever met Ladi. Scrawled across it in the same red ink were 4 chilling words. It was sent for her. Dara locked her bedroom door and dumped the photos on her bed, her hands shaking. Sent for her? She studied the image of the woman beside Ladi, the one with the red circle around her face. The woman had striking features, high cheekbones, and eyes that looked familiar, but Dara couldn't place her. She picked up her phone and dialed Ladi's number again. No answer. Again, nothing. She had no choice. She went back to the cafe the next morning. It was raining. Ladi wasn't there, but someone else was. A slim man in a grey hoodie, sipping tea, watching her. When she stood to leave, he stood too, quietly followed her. She stopped, turned. Why are you following me? He pulled down his hood. His voice was low. You are Dara, right? She took a step back. He held up his hands. I'm not here to hurt you. I used to work with Ladi before he disappeared. Disappeared? She echoed. He was part of a covert unit, government work, off the books, dangerous people. Then he went rogue, vanished. We thought he was dead until someone said they spotted him with you. Dara's mouth went dry. What kind of dangerous people? The man looked around, leaned in. Cartels, arms deals, people whose names can't be said out loud. And the woman in that photo, he pulled out his own copy. She was his handler until she betrayed the unit. He paused. Her name is Tami, and she was your late father's former business partner. Dara's heart skipped. My father died 10 years ago. He nodded. Heart attack, they said, but if Ladi was sent for you, maybe it wasn't just chance you met him. Dara backed away. You're lying. He handed her a USB drive. I'm not. This has voice recordings, Tami talking about a Dara and something called Project Lantern. What's Project Lantern? But the man was already walking away. Play it, but don't trust Ladi. Not yet. That night, Dara sat in darkness, the only light coming from her laptop screen as she plugged in the USB. The audio was grainy but clear enough. A woman's voice, confident, cold. The girl doesn't know the truth about her father, about the file he hid before he died. If she finds it, we are all exposed, said Ladi. He's the only one she will trust, but if he remembers who he really is, kill them both. Dara's blood ran cold. A knock sounded at her door, soft, gentle, familiar. It was Ladi. Dara opened the door slowly. Ladi stood there, soaked from the rain, eyes tired but earnest. Dara, we need to talk. I held up the USB. What is this? Who is Tami? And why am I caught in some dangerous game I don't understand? He ran a hand through his wet hair. I'm sorry I didn't tell you everything. I wanted to protect you. Protect me? From what? From you? Her voice cracked. It swallowed hard. I wasn't always who I am now. Before the accident, I was part of something dark. Project Lantern. Dara's heart pounded. What is Project Lantern? He hesitated. It was a secret operation, illegal arms deals, masked as government work. My job was to keep an eye on my father's business partners, especially Tami. They thought he had something that would ruin them, a file, evidence. Dara's breath itched. My father's files, he never told me about anything dangerous. Because he was scared, and so am I. When I disappeared, I lost my memory. But those memories have been coming back. Nightmares, flashes, and now I'm certain Tami wants that file back. Why? What's in it? Dara asked, trembling. That file exposes their entire network. If it gets out, they lose everything. Their money, their power, their lives. Dara's phone buzzed. Another message from an unknown number. If you want to leave, hand over the file, or both of you will die. She looked at Ladi. We don't have much time. He took her hand. Together, we will find the truth. Together, we will survive. Dara and Ladi met in a cramped living room, the weight of the threats pressing down on them like a storm. We need to find that file, Dara said, eyes sharp despite her fear. Ladi nodded. Your father kept it hidden, somewhere safe. I remember bits. A locked drawer in his old study, where the key was never found. Dara's heart sank. Her father's study had been sealed since his death, left untouched. We need to get inside, she said. That night, under the cover of darkness, they broke into her childhood home. The air smelled of dust and old memories. Ladi moved quickly to the study, fingers searching for hidden compartments. Dara watched nervously. Suddenly, a floorboard creaked. Both froze. In the shadows, a figure emerged. Tami. Her voice was cold, razor sharp. You didn't think I would let you play detective so easily. Dara's breath caught. Ladi stepped protectively in front of her. Tami smiled cruelly. The file belongs to me, and so do you now. She raised a gun. Before she could fire, bang! A shot rang out. Tami collapsed. Behind her stood a man in a dark jacket, the man who had warned Dara earlier. He lowered his weapon. We don't have time. They are coming. You need to leave now. Dara's heart pounded as she stared at the man who saved them. Who are you? She demanded. He pulled off his hood, revealing a familiar face, one she never expected. I'm Obi, your father's closest friend, and I've been watching over you both from the shadows. Ladi's eyes narrowed. Why didn't you say something before? Obi's voice was grave. Because I didn't trust anyone. Not even Ladi. I knew Project Lantern was bigger than any of us. Tami betrayed us all. Dara's mind raced. But why save us now? Obi glanced toward Tami's body. Because the moment she fell, the others will come. We need to move fast. Ladi stepped forward, pulling Dara behind him. What else do you know? Obi pulled out a folder, tossing it to Dara. This contains everything your father collected. Names, transactions, plans. It's dangerous, but it's our only leverage. As Dara flipped through the papers, a chilly realization hit her. One name was missing, Tami's. Obi caught her eye. Because she's working for someone even darker, someone who has been waiting in the shadows. Suddenly, Dara's phone buzzed again. A new message. You think Tami was the worst? Wait until you meet the mastermind. We will be watching. Dara's breath caught. The game wasn't over. It was just beginning. Dara sat stiffly across from Obi and Ladi in a dimly lit safe house, the folder heavy on her lap. We need to find this mastermind, Dara said, eyes fierce. Obi nodded slowly. He's closer than you think. Suddenly, the light flickered. The room, filled with static as a voice, boomed from the speakers. Hello, Dara. Hello, Ladi. I've been watching your little dance. Very entertaining. Dara's blood ran cold. The voice was chilling, calm and full of menace. Who are you? Ladi demanded, stepping forward. A figure appeared on the cracked screen, a tall man with cold eyes and a razor smile. I am Kalu, your father's oldest rival, and the reason this Project Lantern exists. Dara's heart stopped. Kalu continued. Your father tried to take me down. He failed. Now, you too will suffer the same fate. Obi whispered. Kalu is ruthless, kingpin of the darkest networks. The screen went blank. The safe house's phone rang instantly. Obi answered. They know where we are. Dara looked at Ladi. This is no longer about secrets. It's a fight for survival. The safe house buzzed with tension as Obi barricaded the doors. We don't have much time, he said grimly. Ladi pulled Dara close. Whatever happens, we face it together. Dara nodded, heart pounding. She clutched the folder, her father's last hope. Suddenly, footsteps echoed outside. The door burst open. Kalu's men stormed in. Gunfire erupted. Dara ducked behind the table, her breath shallow. Ladi fought fiercely, shielding her. Obi took a bullet but managed to take down two attackers. In the chaos, Dara slipped away, racing to a hidden safe where her father had stashed the original file. She pulled it out, an old worn envelope marked for Dara. Inside, a letter, her father's handwriting. My dearest Dara, if you are reading this, it means I'm gone, but my fight continues through you. Trust no one fully, but trust yourself. You and Ladi have a bond stronger than you know. Use it. This file is our weapon. Use it wisely. Tears blurred Dara's eyes. She returned to the fight. Ladi shouted, Now, Dara! She held up the file. Kalu's men froze as police sirens wailed outside. Obi's contacts had called backup. Kalu's empire crumbled as Kalu was arrested. Dara and Ladi stood side by side, breathing heavily, surviving. Together, days later, Dara and Ladi sat in the quiet of a small cafe, the city buzzing around them, but feeling worlds away. Dara looked at Ladi, a soft smile breaking through our weariness. We survived, but I still wonder, what was the secret behind our bond? Ladi reached across the table, taking her hand. It's not just about trust or love, it's the choices we made, choosing each other when everything was against us. She nodded. I thought it was fate, but maybe it's something stronger, a promise to fight together, no matter what. Ladi's eyes met ours, steady and sure. Exactly. If only everyone knew that the deepest bonds aren't about blood or history, but about who stands with you in your darkest hour. As the sun dipped below the skyline, Dara felt hope bloom inside her. Their story was far from over, but now they knew some bonds are truly unbreakable.